All right, so I'm going to start streaming. And then we should see soon. Waiting for Bantam Milk Podcast. It says that it's streaming over there. Watch now. Let's see if it shows up over here. Oh, I see something. It's almost like I had an idea what I was doing. But I don't
almost
says that it's streaming. Oh, there we go. I hear it too. Yay. And I hear myself. All right, perfect. See if it shows up over here. Close that. Super duper. We are ready. All right, let's get back to this. All right, I'm going to play the theme music first, and then I'm just going to go right into the welcome to...
Make sure to dance this time, Tom.
Yes, Tom,
I'll
dance.
definitely dance. I'm ready.
All right.
Got the dancing shoes and everything.
And here we go.
Close.
Close? Okay.
Close.
He's got his puffy shirt on.
I've got my dancing helmet.
Intro
Nice.
Welcome to Bantam Milk Podcast presents Around the Dejarik Table, your hyperspace hangout where four Star Wars nerds sit down, roll the dice, and dive deep into the galaxy far, far away.
Oh, you want me to say something?
Yeah. You got your, do you still have your helmet
And
on?
with us is our host, Rob.
That was it? Whatever.
That was it.
All right, fine. Pew, pew, pew. I was hoping for more. I'm, got to build up everybody, whatever. I wonder if stormtroopers can shoot better with their eyes closed because they really can't hit anything with their eyes open. So now the smooth talker from the Outer Rim who could convince a Wookiee to shave because I gave him a good intro where he didn't give me one. Give it up for Tom.
Hey, how are you? Back from Galaxy's Edge. There's my lightsaber.
Nice.
I think it weighs a ton. You guys didn't tell me the thing's gonna weigh a ton.
Yeah, the metal handle there is real metal.
I went with the Guardian.
Very
Very
nice.
nice. It's the Jedi equivalent of a maglite.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah, it does remind me.
16D battery.
I mean, this thing is heavy. All right, so welcome to the podcast. Let me introduce the Emperor himself, Ken.
Oh, well, thank you kindly. It's nice of you here on the table again. And it's my turn to introduce the wild card. And this is the same guy who thinks that Irving Kirchner was a European philosopher. So brace yourself for David.
Hello there. So grab a glass of blue milk, shuffle the Dejarik table, and let's jump to light speed because this conversation is about to begin.
Yes, it is. Woohoo! Choo, choo, choo.
Is that guy the director of a Star Wars movie or something?
Yes.
Irving
Yes.
Matter of fact, he was. Do you know which one?
Empire Strikes Back.
There you go. Look at you
Ding,
go.
ding, ding.
The movie that came out before David was born. There's the first young kid joke. Pew. The guy's like in his 30s, and we're making fun of him. I mean,
And you want to hear something sad? Not even in my 30s.
there you go. Then never mind. Then I'm going to make fun of you even more because of jealousy. Oh, jealousy. Oh, speaking of not in your 30s anymore, this Sunday coming up, Sunday. Grab your chair. You'll need the whole seat. Well, how did I say? You pay for the whole seat, but you won't need it or something like that, whatever. It's Thomas's birthday on Sunday. And
Hello.
Right.
speaking of no longer being 30, he's going to turn the big 50. So
Very cool.
he has to get his old Mustang back because his Mustang had a 50 in it. So he needs to get a Mustang.
I'm gonna be blasting Billy Squires.
There you go. So this is a early happy birthday to Thomas, even though the show probably won't even come out till after your birthday. So when everybody who listens to the show wishes you a happy birthday a week late, you won't be offended. So that's all right.
Nope, I'll already be 50.
You'll already be 50 at that point.
And at that point, you will forget about that stuff anyway, because you tend to lose your memory as you age.
Ain't that the truth?
Exactly.
That is
Exactly.
the
What
truth.
birthday?
I remember back in my day. Anywho, this week we had an idea. I think it was David. David, did you bring up the what if idea?
I did, yes.
All right, David brought up the idea to do a what if type of show. So this one is going to be a lot less scripted and just a lot more. We have 4 what if ideas for Star Wars. Because tomorrow for us, a week ago for you listening at home, if you're watching live on YouTube right now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below on how cool this is, because, you know, you love us so much and all that good stuff. So if you're listening right now, tomorrow will be the Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxies Season 2. And I saw the first one. It was only, 8 episodes, and they were like 15 minutes each? Something like that?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like 15 minutes max each for them. So it was cute. It was fun. Lego, they blew up the galaxy, and everything was different, and it was a lot of fun seeing a good Darth Vader and a bad Millennium Falcon and all that good stuff. So David, being the huge cartoon fan that he is, because he has 2 kids at home, and they only watch Star Wars What If Rebuild the Galaxy. He's probably watching Bluey instead, but whatever.
Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig, yeah.
Definitely some Bluey, a little Miss Rachel, Blue's Clues.
There you go.
The good stuff.
What about Caillou? Do you let your kids watch that monstrosity?
I don't have a cable, so not much PBS is put on the TV.
Okay, well that's good. My son loved Caillou. The kid was the whiniest kid not my son, but Caillou is the whiniest kid in the world. Oh my God. I couldn't stand it, but anyway.
Whinier than a teenage Luke Skywalker?
Yes, he did. All he did was complain about how he hates sand. It gets everywhere. So, yeah, it totally reminded me of a teenage, or that was Anakin, but yeah, a teenage Luke Skywalker.
He's complaining about power converters.
I want to go to Toshi Station and get some power converters. Yeah, he was a whiny also. All right, so since we're doing a what if type of show, I'm going to kick it off. Based off of Rebuild the Galaxy, where they change everything. We want to bring up 4 ideas of what if. Here's mine, and this is a big one because this changes the entire first 3 movies and even trickled down into the next 3 movies. But what if Jar Jar Binks never got kicked out of Otho Gunga? Gunga? Is that how you say it? I don't know how to say it.
Oda Gunga.
There you go, Oda Gunga. What if he never got kicked out of Oda Gunga? I'll start, and then you guys jump in whenever you want to. Tell me that I'm wrong and all that good stuff. But let me tell you, we wouldn't have the first 3 movies at all the way we did now, because he could have been practically the antagonist of the whole show once you really think about it, because every time he messed up, it's what helped the Empire take over. It's what helped Palpatine take over. Palpatine tricked him. In the first episode 1, when he's just like making a mess of everything and luring everybody into their traps and whatever. He was, and I'm not going into, we got a better question later on about if people actually appreciated the character in Ahmed Best and all that good stuff. I'm just talking about the actual character Jar Jar Binks was so annoying. So I don't know. I could go on by myself, but you guys jump in. Tell me what else you think. Why would this be so much better for Star Wars, but then change everything drastically also?
Well, I'm not sure I would describe it as better for Star Wars, but it sure as heck would have been different for Star Wars. Because if you think about it, without Jar Jar, we wouldn't have had that relationship with Anakin. So when they finally made it, through the planet core and all that, let's pretend they did that. Let's pretend they got off Naboo and made it to Tatooine because they needed to get their hyperdrive fixed. Let's pretend all of that stuff still happened. It was Jar Jar who became somewhat buddy-buddy with Anakin, and it was his stumbling and bumbling that got Anakin to protect him from Sebulba, and then they went to Anakin's house to survive a sandstorm. So without Jar Jar there on Tatooine, I'm not sure if that relationship with Anakin Skywalker would have happened, and they may have really changed the prophecy of the one who brought balance to the Force, or at least it would have happened in a much different way. What do you think, David?
Well, if he stayed there on his own place, he may have just lived a quiet life as a clumsy outcast amongst his people, never becoming one of the most important accidental players in galactic history, as we've already talked about here. But just as you guys were talking about, like you kind of were talking about it from the origin there, Ken and Rob, you kind of mentioned it as well, but kind of looking forward a little bit more to, when he is amongst the Senate and, Palpatine is utilizing him as kind of like a pawn in his system to give immediate power to him, So if Jar Jar wasn't there, right, to be used as a pawn, Palpatine may have had to have kind of gone after another senator to kind of do that. And which one would he have gone after? A lot of them are very smart, savvy, witty people who may have not fallen for those tricks. So it would kind of change the direction of how Palpatine would have kind of gained that power in the Senate at that point.
Yeah,
what about you, Tom?
I was gonna piggyback off of that. I do like that because we know Palpatine is the smartest person in the galaxy. Basically, I mean, he started a whole war against himself just to make sure that he would win the war. Type, in my opinion. So he definitely would find somebody else if it wasn't Jar Jar, who was so easily persuaded to do his bidding. He would have found somebody else because even as we know later on, Palpatine was able to convince Anakin that basically everybody was against him because he was giving him the things that Anakin wanted, and he would find somebody else to do that too. So, yeah, I can see how when you get later on, maybe we would just have a new person that we would dislike as much as we dislike Jar Jar because he would have tricked somebody else into doing all of his bidding for him. And I'm sure there would have been somebody else to do it, but I'm just looking at the bumbling and the idiocy of Jar Jar, and I'm just like, oh, like that's the part that would make Star Wars so much better, not having that comic relief that wasn't really comic relief, but kids liked it, and Star Wars was for 12-year-old kids, so that's whatever. Tom, you jump in and tell us what you think with your purple lightsaber.
So you guys are like way off into the future about what happens like when he joins the Senate and he's a senator and all that. Even just think more immediately, the Battle of Naboo would have been affected because the Gungans may not even have come into that battle and won that battle. So the whole direction of this conflict would have changed. Just the fact that he would have never even met Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Because he was, he's banished to the surface.
Yeah.
So the whole story would have taken a different tangent there, and who knows where it would have gone. I mean, maybe the Naboo would have never won that war. Well, that wasn't really a war, but won the battle. Who knows? Maybe Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan lost. Who knows? I mean, they really needed the help of the Gungans.
Yeah, the Gungans really did help them out a lot. So if he never came up, then they never have that assist there with the Gungans, and it could have been completely different. And maybe then the Gungans could have attacked them as well because they would have been annoyed that they were, losing this battle instead of being teamed up with them.
Well,
but I'm definitely no fan of the character Jar Jar. I'm not. I know Ahmad bested his best. I'm not gonna like harp on his performance like other people do, but I just don't like the character. I think the comic relief can be done better. I mean, look at like K2SO. As a droid. I mean, he's fantastic, great comic relief, and he didn't have to be over the top and bumbling idiot as you said, Rob. So
yeah,
I think it could have been done better. And I mean, I understand it's for the kids, and the kids love him, but I just thought I thought he was really a corny character.
Well, and if to your point about the battle on Naboo, we may not have actually gotten that far. That battle may not have ever happened at all because we don't know how Obi-Wan and Anakin would have gotten out of that forest, let alone off the planet.
Yeah.
It was Jar Jar who was in the right place at the right time to literally and figuratively bump into Qui-Gon, who as a Jedi saw value in this bumbler and this person who had been banished from his hometown, and got his help, and in turn helped him, because there's the possibility that the bosses, especially Boss Nass, may have executed him for his clumsiness, because that was in the cards for Jar Jar, and it was it was Qui-Gon's decision to do that little mind trick on Boss Nass to say, hey, he owes us a life debt. You're going to give us a ship and let us go through the planet core, kind of thing. But none of those things would have happened if Jar Jar stayed in Otogunga, stayed underwater, and didn't even know all that stuff was happening.
Yeah. Do you think it would have been easier or harder for the Emperor to do what his plan if things wouldn't have worked out that way?
Which plan? That's the real challenge part. Are we talking about the big plan, or the plan to convince the Naboo, to convince the Naboo to sign the treaty with the
right,
Trade
because
Federation?
that really set off everything else. So I guess that would be the first thing.
Yeah, so I think with that in mind, the Emperor would have had a much easier go at that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't anticipate that the Jedi ambassador or ambassadors, because it was Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, he didn't anticipate that they were going to survive. But because of not even the bumbling of Jar Jar, but the bumbling of the Neomodians that allowed Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon to escape. So their bumbling set all the other stuff in motion.
A lot of bumbling. There was lots of bumbling around Jar Jar, yes. All right, well, that's our first what if down. So now, let's see, who wants to go next? I think we will go to Tom. You're next, right?
All right, actually, mine is kind of related to this era. So my question is, what if Qui-Gon had defeated Maul on Naboo and lived? So Maul was destroyed, Qui-Gon lived. What direction do you think these characters, like their life paths, would have taken? Because if you think about it, Qui-Gon, he disputed with the Council every now and then. So I was kind of thinking an interesting thought would be, would Qui-Gon have partnered with Count Dooku, as Count Dooku said to Obi-Wan that Qui-Gon and I maybe would have agreed on this whole situation? So that would be an interesting thought. Would Obi-Wan have become the Jedi that he became? And then as far as Anakin, instead of being trained by Obi-Wan, he would have been trained by Qui-Gon.
Yeah, that one would have been huge, because he even told Obi-Wan, like, you're ready to go out on your own. I'm ready to have a new Padawan. So and part of Anakin's teenage angst was because Obi-Wan was so hard on him. Yeah.
Would he have been different had he been trained by Qui-Gon instead? So what do you guys think? Pick whatever character you want. What direction do you think their paths would have taken, good or bad, had Qui-Gon lived and defeated Maul?
Well, it definitely would have been vastly different. So you had mentioned that Qui-Gon had said that Obi-Wan is ready for the trials. So if Qui-Gon had defeated Maul, I think he would have continued on with that trajectory, given Qui-Gon that permission to go on to the next stage, opening up his schedule to be able to train Anakin. And Qui-Gon would have served more as the father figure master to Anakin than the big brother figure to Anakin. And the other piece to that, Qui-Gon wanted to train him. Obi-Wan was very, very reluctant. In fact, I think he described him as another helpless life form when they originally picked him up on Tatooine. And so we don't even know if with this new trajectory, if Anakin would have gone down that path of having a romantic relationship with Padme, because maybe Qui-Gon would have helped him manage his emotions in a different way and not get romantically interested in the Queen and so on. So there's a whole lot of different choices that would have happened if Qui-Gon had defeated Maul. What do you think,
Yeah,
David?
yeah, and I mean the duel of the fates is the duel of the fates for a reason. It literally was the duel of the fate of Anakin Skywalker. And if I think Dave Filoni had that interview a few years back where he was talking about the duel of the fates and how significant it actually was, and it literally was a fight for Anakin to have pretty much a master, a father figure in his life to kind of put him on the correct path. Whereas, like you mentioned, Obi-Wan was more like a brother figure to him, as opposed to a father figure, which is what he really needed. He needed the love, the compassion. Um, and this ultimately, paved the way for his fall to the dark side. I mean, you hate to say it because, we all look at Obi-Wan as, a great master. And, he's a great Jedi. And he's probably my favorite, but he wasn't really exactly what Anakin needed. Trained him to be a great fighter, a great knight, but ultimately it just didn't work out. And because of that duel, Anakin's future would dramatically be different if Qui-Gon lived, and defeated Maul. Just to kind of keep it simple there. Now, I like how you mentioned Dooku, Tom, because I didn't actually think of that until you just mentioned that, how Dooku would have been affected by Qui-Gon still being alive. Like you're saying, would Qui-Gon kind of go along with Dooku and kind of join that, separatist type route away from the council, or would he have stayed with the Jedi? I have no idea. I really don't know, but it'd be definitely interesting to explore. If you guys have any other thoughts on that. So what do you think, Rob?
Well, especially since we had brought up that Qui-Gon did argue with the Jedi round table of masters there. He did disagree with them sometimes. So
that's why he wasn't on the council.
Yeah, that's why he wasn't on the council. And I wonder if he would have stuck around, like you said, if he would have seen Count Dooku's way of thinking as maybe he's on to something here. Maybe this Jedi Council isn't all it's cracked up to be. He was definitely more open to things than the council was, and looking at the Jedi differently. I still don't think that he would completely leave and give up on the Jedi. Maybe even turning like a gray Jedi, kind of like Ahsoka is, or something like that, where he still wants to do good, but he just doesn't want to be associated with the Jedi. Would be neat if he went out on that path. But I think we all agree that had he been still there, that Anakin's life would be drastically different because of, like Tom brought it up first, I think, of the brother versus the father mentality there between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. So I'm in 100% agreement with you there that, and I also think Anakin wouldn't have been swayed as easily by Palpatine because Qui-Gon would have, taught him better than say Obi-Wan did when it came to just the feelings and emotions and thinking about things, because his feelings were leading him in the wrong direction all the time. And he was believing things that he shouldn't have been believing. But, Palpatine was being such a good guy, best friend to him, and being like, yeah, they don't like you and whatever, and they don't want you to be on the council. They don't think that you're ready, and I know that you are, and but I don't think he would be falling for that trap as easily if Qui-Gon was still there. And it would also be interesting, how many lines would Maul have if he got defeated in the very first battle instead of the second battle? He would be down to just one line, but whatever. We do get to see Maul a lot more later on when they bring him back with robot legs and all kinds of other good stuff. But so it would also be different. The whole, would we be as attached to Maul if he was just a dude with horns who lost in the very first battle that we saw? What would that be like? Will we care about him as much then if Qui-Gon beat him down right away? That would be very interesting as well. Or if, not losing until Obi-Wan, if that makes us like him any more or any less. I don't know. But
I think it would come down to how he was defeated.
Yeah.
It was the will of the Force to be severed the way that he was,
Yeah.
Giving them the magical ability to stay alive in the midst of that kind of injury. But Qui-Gon was taken out with just a poke.
Yeah, and Qui-Gon, who played Qui-Gon?
Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson just recently came out and said,
I saw that.
Yeah. I think it was kind of what was the word he used? He didn't use cheesy, but it was something like that. He said,
I think he said cheeky. Or
Cheeky,
something like that.
yeah, a way that he died. Like, don't you think a Jedi Master would have been able to see that coming and avoid that silly way that he died? It should have been a lot better. We do have.
I thought there was an interview with George Lucas once because somebody asked him about that and said, "Why did this great Jedi Master die so easily?" And I think George Lucas said something like, that Qui-Gon was clouded by the dark side during that battle, and that's why he wasn't really anticipating Maul's moves. But then later on, Obi-Wan was studying how Maul fought, and that's why he was so easily able to defeat him later on, because he knew Maul's moves, something like that.
That's what you say after the fact when you're trying to cover up your mistake.
Right. Lucas is good at that.
Lucas is very good at that.
I had an idea the whole time. I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
I always wanted Luke and Leia to be brother and sister. Yes, I wanted Leia to know from the start that Luke was her brother. Eric Johnson from Ears Up and the Supreme Resort and the Hub Crawl, which he says I don't promote my other show that I'm on, which I have a show called Spokes, which is the Hub Crawl after show. He's in the chat right now, and he says the cartoons do him service. The episode 1 disappointment was real. So we're talking obviously about Maul there. But yeah, it was fun. And even, look, going back to the Jar Jar question, I remember seeing him the very first time when episode 1 first came out, and it could have also just been blinders because I was so excited that we were getting new Star Wars that the very first time I saw it, I didn't mind Jar Jar, but then the more I thought about it, then I hated him even more. But the same thing with, like, when you saw Maul in the cartoons, you were like so excited to see him back, and then you're like, wait, how did he come back? And you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of like Lucas's version of, yeah, no, it's fine. He just was cut perfectly right here. No internal organs were damaged. It was just all his legs and whatever. So, but yeah, he was definitely a lot scarier and better. And even his arc in the cartoons was so much better, where he was almost like a gray Jedi again, where he wasn't for the Empire, but he also he wanted to kill Palpatine, but he also didn't want to be a good guy at the same thing. So there we go.
Well, think about all the ripples that we wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
If the story didn't go the way that the story went. You mentioned the Clone Wars. Who would have been Ahsoka's master?
Yeah.
If Anakin wasn't available at the time, would Maul have built that relationship with Count Dooku? Because in the backstory of stuff, it was actually Palpatine who trained Maul. So there's all of these wonderful ripples that have come from the story as it's currently written. And that's one of the interesting things about doing one of these what ifs is this one little change here echoes throughout the galaxy in ways that we may not have thought about before. Would there have been that huge, was it Crimson Dawn?
Crimson Dawn,
yeah.
Would Maul have led the Mauldalorians and Death Watch and all of those kind of things?
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like, I'm pretty sure it was a Simpsons episode where they kept going back in time, and every time they went back in time, they went back to like the dinosaur time, and every time they did something, first they like threw a branch or something and made a dinosaur go chase it. Then they went back to normal time, and everything was drastically different. And they were like, oh, wait. And then they kept going back and forth, trying to get it back to the way it was supposed to be. And then they finally did one little thing. They went back and everything was almost normal. But then there was something really, like, everybody had, like, even bigger eyes or something. And they were like, this is close enough. But, yeah, that's like that ripple that you're talking about. Once you change one thing, everything is drastically different. So, yeah, I don't know. But it is. It's fun. It is what it is. And this is what makes this episode that much more fun, is that we can just, speculate on all different things that we could want to happen instead of what actually happened. And
I think in an actual Star Wars, canon, these type of things can happen. I think with the world between worlds, right? Are they able to? Are they able to affect things that happened in the past, or can you just visit them as they already happened? I forget exactly.
I think he did when
because
Ezra
Ahsoka went back and went when she got into the world between the worlds during her battle with Vader, and escaped death with Bridger.
Yeah, so they did change things by going back. He did pull her out. Treehouse of Horror 5 was the episode. Eric just texted it. But yeah, and he did go back and he did pull her out right before she was about to get killed by Darth Vader. So I mean, they could do that in the world between worlds. And
could get a bit messy though.
It would get and I think that's what happened to Marvel, honestly.
Oh my god,
just make the multiverse like Marvel did.
Yeah, and then it just got
you
so messy
do whatever you want.
and so confusing. It was funny what they did with Deadpool, where he was going through finding all the different Wolverines, and so that was funny. So all right, well, that's 2 of our 4 questions down. So this is the halfway point. So before we go to a commercial, don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Ears Up Network. Ears Up, The Supreme Resort, Scraping the Vault, Puny Pod, Eric's other show, The Hub Crawl. He's not on Spokes. I'm on Spokes. He wanted to make sure that was clear there, that he is not on Spokes. Not that he's opposed to it. He does like it. He's just not there. We won't invite him to Spokes. And check out all those other ones. Ken, throw out your shows that you're on as well. Before we go to commercial.
Wednesday night around 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, I'm riding the Inflatable Falcon with Mike Hinton. I'm also in another show called Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken, where we mostly talk about bounty hunters and Mandalorians. And then every so often, when the urge happens, I record an episode of The Rambling Star Wars Fan. That's my solo podcast that attempts to make sense of all the weirdness that's in Star Wars. So. And speaking of the Inflatable Falcon, I want to throw out to all of you guys the invitation. We're getting ready to do a recording, a reading of The Empire Striketh Back. So the Shakespearean version of The Empire Strikes Back. And we're looking for folks who want to play roles during our show.
Excellent.
And I know all of you academic and studious type folks who might be interested in reading on air.
Yeah, and also there was a lot of it happened last weekend, but I was looking for you guys, but I didn't see the Falcon there. They have this traveling circus, almost, if you would, of 100 inflatable things, obstacle courses, and all kinds of other stuff. And there was one that was at the Burlington County Fair or something like that. I forget where the I don't know, whatever. But it was 2 hours that adults could go and run through all of these inflatable things. And they had a picture. It was just this giant obstacle course maze of inflatable stuff and whatever. And I was looking for an inflatable Falcon in the pictures, but they didn't have any inflatable Falcons in the pictures. Otherwise, I would have went. If they had a Star Wars section, I was there, but I didn't see any Star Wars section. So, nope, we're not there. So, all right. Well, we'll be right back after this commercial about something that I'm sure none of us will use.
Way to plug it, Rob.
You like that? All right, and we're back. Wasn't it awesome?
I just might use that one. I think you misunderstood my buying power.
I'm not sure what we're buying. So.
Well, when you listen to the show, it'll be specific just for you. Whatever it is, it's going to be specific just for you.
I hope it's something funny now.
I hope so. It would be great if it was whatever. But yeah, all right, Ken, it's your turn. What's your question?
Before I get into my question, I want to know more about Tom's last trip to Batuu. Tell us a little bit about that. It seems like you had a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, so it really wasn't that crowded. So we kind of had it all to ourselves because we go late August and it's, Disney's pretty empty then. It did rain most of the day. So, we're walking in our Darth Vader ponchos most of the time around. I was a little it was so weird. Like at some points I was overwhelmed with the detail, and then at some points I was underwhelmed because I'm like, it looks so awesome. It's so immersive, but there's not much to do. Like there's two rides.
Yeah.
So there's two rides. You know, there's the cantina, which we didn't go into because you have to make a reservation for it. Um, and we did get drinks at the, I can't remember what the little stand is called where you can get blue milk and stuff. So that was pretty neat. But there's the two rides. There's the two workshops, the droid workshop and the lightsaber workshop. But they're so expensive, so it's not like you just go in and do them. They've got, I believe, two stores. They have a quick serve, which we did eat at the quick serve, and I think that's pretty much it. There's really not much to do there, and I was really disappointed. And I actually texted Rob while I was there. They have the First Order ship. They have Kylo Ren's ship, his I guess command ship, whatever, and it's parked right there in the corner, and it's perfect for shows. And I asked Rob, I said, do they do shows? He's like, no, it's just where the characters come out. I'm like, they're missing a huge opportunity to do like a giant First Order show, you know, have Hux come out, you know, and do his First Order speech, bring all the troopers out, people gather around and watch. It would be awesome. But I think they dropped the ball on some of this. It's such an immersive land and there's just not much there.
Yeah. Well,
the lights, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, the way it was originally pitched was there was supposed to be so much more there. And a lot more interaction, like you said. There probably was going to be a show on that stage that never had a show there.
And then COVID hit.
Yeah, and then COVID hit, and then they never went back to it again. They have updated a little bit more now. The West Coast version seems to be getting extra characters first, and then they slowly make their way over to the East Coast version. So they have the Mandalorian and a Grogu puppet, or as we call him, Norman puppet.
I did see that.
Yeah, he's there. They had the BD droids. They started in California, and then they more recently were in Florida. There was a Luke Skywalker walking around, who the one that they had in California really looked like a young Luke Skywalker. Whoever the kid was who did it was a good double for him.
Those clips I saw on Facebook, they were pretty good.
Yeah,
like just him talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did see a stormtrooper pair almost constantly walking around. Every time we walked through, we saw stormtroopers, and we did see Rey once. But it's like, this is Disney.
Yep.
There should constantly be actors.
Yeah. Walking
around, you know, helping out with immersion, and it just felt empty to me. Now it looked great. It looked phenomenal. Yes. It looked like it could film a movie there, but I don't know. I didn't feel immersed with anything else. Yeah. It was kind of weird.
What about on Rise of the Resistance? I mean, that ride I thought was phenomenal.
It was pretty cool. I texted Rob as soon as I got off of there. What really blew me away wasn't even the ride, because I'm just, you know, I'm a lifetime Star Wars fan, and Rob and I played Star Wars Galaxies, where you feel like you're in the Star Wars universe because you have your own character in there. And when you first walk out into the hangar bay,
oh my God,
you feel like you're in Star Wars. You feel like you are on the First Order ship.
Yeah,
that is my favorite room in the entire Galaxy's Edge. I took a little video of it, and the First Order officers, you know, they're you know, they do a good job. They're mean. They bark orders at you in that room, and it's just, to me, that even before the ride, that was, to me, phenomenal.
I also, a pro tip, when you get off of the shuttle that gets pulled into the Empire ship, be the last one off the shuttle, because they kind of like rush you through, but if you're the last one off, you can linger a little bit, because you can stay back and stare and look at all the stormtroopers and stuff like that, because you have 4 minutes or so, or 3 or 4 minutes until the next group of people come out. But you can linger there for a little bit and really, and they won't be too pushy yet, because all you're doing is you're just turning a corner and then waiting in line. So they're like, okay, but they do want you to be gone before the next group of people come out, because they don't want those people to come out and see people standing there. But you can.
What's funny is looking at people's faces who don't realize that they're putting on the show.
Yeah.
People who like look at them like, okay, you know, you don't have to be rude. Well, yes, they do.
That's the part. That's what the first order is. Yeah.
Well, see, and that's the immersion that I think that some folks want, and then that some folks are confused by.
Yeah.
Because not everyone goes into an experience like that thinking that it's going to be all encompassing. I'm going to get in this line, I'm going to sit in this seat and ride this ride, not realizing that every person that I come into contact with, every human being I come into contact with, is playing a role.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and it's almost like, where does the ride actually start? Is the big question. You know, does it start when you get on the Rebel ship, or does it not start until you get into the past that area and into the real sit down ship? Like, is that when the ride starts? Because technically that's when the ride is supposed to start. All the rest of this is just, you know, pre-show stuff, which is also amazing that's not even.
But
really...
it is part of the show, because you're a prisoner. They're lining you up as a prisoner.
Yeah. So it is.
That's a huge difference between, you know, a ride and an experience. I mean, think about like, have all of you ridden Tower of Terror?
Yeah.
Same idea. As you're weaving through that hotel and going into the basement and all of that kind of stuff before you get into the drop car, you know, you're experiencing the whole story, and that's one of the things that sets it apart from, like, let's say, and I mean no disrespect by this, but from like a Six Flags or you know,
or even you know, you take it up to the next level of amusement parks. Busch Gardens, Virginia, is a great amusement park, but it doesn't have that extra thing. Like, even the bellhops at Tower of Terror are great, because they're just like always like mean and giving you that like undead.
I want to work there.
Yeah, it would be fun to work there.
I would love to do that job.
Yeah, because you can, and like when they lock you in, you know, and they're like, have a good ride, and then they close the door on you, and you're like, wait, what? You know.
And speaking of experiences, was the lightsaber building experience as cool as we hyped it up to be?
So I think it was even better, because you go into the workshop and there's room for, I think, about 20 people in there, maybe 24 stations. As I said, I went on a rainy night. It rained all day, rained all night, and I went in August, so it wasn't that crowded. There was 6 of us in the workshop.
Wow,
that's awesome.
The actor who played, I can't remember the guy's name, who's the lightsaber builder, but he was a very common guy, because I've seen his picture posted all over the forums and stuff about how great he is, and he was phenomenal. He individually stopped and talked to each one of us for a few minutes. You're not going to get that experience when you have 24 people in there.
No, I didn't get that experience. Yeah,
it was phenomenal. He stopped and individually talked about your saber, your choices, what it means to build a lightsaber, to be you know, to wield a saber. And he was different with every single person, and he focused on the kind of saber they were building. You know, he noticed that I chose a Jedi Guardian. He said, so I see you're a Jedi Guardian, you know, a Guardian stance. And he literally had a whole conversation with you. Yeah. I felt like I was talking to like a Jedi grandfather. So it was such a neat experience to have that, just such a small group in there, rather than, like, I could see if the whole room was crowded, he'd be speaking to everyone as a whole, but he was able to go and talk to each person individually for a few minutes. It was a great experience, and to me, it was well worth the money. The saber, I don't know. I mean, I like my Damien saber better. I have a Damien saber, and I have this one, the Galaxy's Edge saber. I like my Damien saber better. But I mean, this experience was awesome.
Yeah, it's
well, you don't have to answer this question, but when you were there, was the room dusty at all? Like, did it affect your eyes?
No, I
Some
mean it was
folks
dark.
had their eyes like get watery during the
yeah,
lightsaber
from
training.
So I mean, I have to admit, it did a little bit. There was a little dust in my eye,
Yeah.
and I had to do a little
Yeah,
rub.
so
I mean,
Yeah.
I was
doing that
turning
very well.
50. I'm turning 50, and I felt like I was 10.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. That's so much fun. Real fast, because Eric is joining us in the chat. I got to get a couple of his comments out here. First, he said to Ken that he's in for the Shakespeare Star Wars, Shakespearean Wars. He goes, also, I want you folks on my show too. So he wants you guys to join him on the Hub Crawl,
Sure thing.
talking Star Wars. So he said that. Then he also said that the Luke character, he did meet the Luke character in California, and he said he was awesome. And then he's agreeing with us that Savi's workshop was incredible, and he didn't even make a lightsaber, and he had a great time. And then he said that, Tom, that's a great experience. When I was there, mine was full. We had 25, 24 people, whatever it was.
Mhm.
So we Eric said he experienced dust and didn't even make a saber. So
That's what it does to you.
yeah, but we had not only did we have the main guy who was a great storyteller, and he followed the script phenomenally, and could have even been the same guy. I don't even know, but he was awesome. But because there were so many people there were a couple of assistants there who were helping him, and they were helping you get your pieces and taking away the extra pieces and all that good stuff. But they were pretty versed on what was going on also, because I think I had that conversation that you had with him with one of the assistants. They were going around, like each assistant had maybe 4 or 5 people that they were like, oh, you chose this and you chose that.
Yeah, there were assistants in there too, but they were young kids.
Yeah.
This actor was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was
You would
awesome.
believe he's right out of the Star Wars universe.
Did you record it on your phone?
Yeah, my wife got a lot of the video.
Yeah.
She's your +1.
And what was really
Yeah.
neat was on the way out, we were kind of just, he kind of walked us out, and I was the last one out, and I was just like, I'm so jealous. And he goes, I have the best job in the world. And that was the last thing he said. And then I left.
That's awesome.
And that was
The one moment he
that was
breaks
great.
character.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or maybe he didn't break character.
But
I don't think he did.
was in
Yeah.
character.
He was still in
Yeah.
character. Yeah.
So he was still in character, but it was himself, whoever that man is,
Yeah.
saying that, and it was his character saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he gets to
Yeah.
build lightsabers with people.
Yeah.
So it was really his both personalities who felt
Oh.
that way.
I'm so happy for you. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah.
And also,
Some
I
dust
know
in my room right now.
I wouldn't be a person who knows a lot of people, who knows a lot of things about Disney, if I didn't say, when you have an experience like that, to make sure you fill out one of those comment cards on the app
I
about
should've
the
done that.
people. And it's a shame you don't remember his name or anything like that.
I think somebody posted his name.
Okay.
And they post his pictures everywhere, but
Yeah.
I'm sure he gets a lot of.
Yeah, but like they
fan
get
mail,
like
so.
bonuses, and not bonus, but some kind of bonus and stuff for having a lot of positive comment
Yeah.
cards. So
All right,
this
I'm glad you said that, because I am gonna do it. I
Yeah.
am gonna.
and
That's
that's
awesome.
that's for anybody. Anytime you go to the parks, if you have a good experience from somebody, definitely fill out. You can fill it out on the Disney app, and it doesn't take long. You can't get too specific. You can just pick a name and a place and a day and all that stuff, and then they just know that they're getting it. But yeah, it's something good for them that really helps them out. So definitely do that. All right, go ahead, Ken.
Speaking of characters,
Yes.
I'm going to jump in and share my question for the evening, my what-if question.
There we go.
And this is both about the stories and the movies themselves, but also the real world stuff. So I'm curious what you guys think would happen. What if Star Wars fans appreciated Jar Jar Binks as a character as much as they appreciate Chewbacca?
Yeah,
What do you think?
I want
Start with-
to.
you wanna
Okay.
start first,
I
right?
want to start because I actually didn't know how much people blamed Ahmed Best for Jar Jar's failures, and when I found that out years later, I was so offended and I was so annoyed at that fact, because he was playing a role. It wasn't his fault. He was doing what he was told to do, and as an actor, you do what you're supposed to do. Did he do a good job of that? Yes. Did he play a very loose person, almost didn't have any bones, like almost like a Scooby-Doo character when you watch Scooby-Doo and Shaggy walking? Yeah, they walk with like absolutely no bones in their arms. Did he do that? Yes. Was he playing a great role, and was he doing a very good job? And he was in the suit, and there's even the whole thing about how they originally wanted to just CGI his head, and the people at Lucas Arts were, and then they also said that later on that they might have rigged the shot so that it would be bad, but they were trying to prove that if they just spent time doing the head and not the whole body in CGI, that it would cost more and take more time to do just the head to get everything to match up right. But then he wound up being in one of the first people ever to use like a motion capture suit with all the little dots and everything around him. And I think he did a great job. And I was so offended when I found out how much hate the man himself got. And then even when they brought him back with the kids show where it was, I think he might have been a Jedi, but he was like it was just, yeah. When he brought him, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is so great because it's his redeeming arc," and it was like, no, he didn't need the redeeming arc. Society needed the redeeming arc to not be a jerk to him in the first place. But on top of Jar Jar, if we appreciated Jar Jar as much as we appreciate Chewbacca, if they made Jar Jar less bumbling, I think we could have appreciated him more. So I think then I would have appreciated, because Chewbacca is not a buffoon. Chewbacca is not this guy that just falls into good luck. Chewbacca worked hard for everything. So that's why we like Chewbacca as a sidekick way better than Jar Jar Binks as a sidekick. So I think if they wrote it differently, and also, I mean, it would, once again, all the ripple effects of now if he's not a complete moron, if he doesn't fall for Palpatine's tricks and say, oh, you really should do this in the Senate and we should do that and blah, blah, blah. So it would be interesting. And I think I would have liked Jar Jar and the Gungans way better if he wasn't so goofy and, made for the kids and made more for the adults who are now watching Star Wars, who watched it originally as kids. So that's my answer. Go ahead, David. What do you think?
I mean, I was going to go same point as you, so I won't rehash too much, but, if Star Wars fans appreciated Jar Jar Binks more, they would have given Ahmed Best the more love, that he deserved, and we wouldn't have this whole, redeeming arc with him and his own kids' TV show that was on YouTube, but then also when he came out in The Mandalorian and had his own kind of hero moment where he was the guy who saved Grogu from the Jedi Temple during Order 66, which was really awesome. Still, I'm so happy they did that for him. That was really cool. But they if Star Wars fans appreciated him, he just would have been more celebrated, and he wouldn't have. I know I hate to bring up such sad things, but he wouldn't have gone through such hard times in his life.
Yeah,
where he was, ultimately was saying he was suicidal over him playing Jar Jar Binks and the hate he got from the fans, like he was not able to take it. So that whole path probably would have changed for him, and his life probably would have been a little different too, kind of early on in his career. So I know I'm talking more about, real life stuff, but that was a huge implications on someone's life.
Yeah.
The Star Wars fandom created, which is sad to say, but it happened. So.
Right.
And who hated him? It was our generation, the three of us. It was, I mean, I'm not saying like it was us that it gave him the hate mail and all that stuff, but it was the original trilogy people who came down hard on him. But George Lucas said in all those making of the prequel trilogy, he made it for kids. He didn't make it for the original Star Wars fans. He made it for kids. He said Star Wars is a kids movie.
He made it for, that's right. David was a kid then. He made it for David.
I was like 6 years old.
David loved Jar Jar Binks.
And I just don't think that the original trilogy fans got that. I got it. I just didn't like the character. But
Right.
that doesn't mean I hated the actor. And all the hate that actor got was really upsetting. I mean, I'm gonna give me a similar situation with the sequel trilogy with Rose. I don't
Yeah.
have anything against the actress.
No.
Nothing.
No.
I just think it was a poor character and poorly written and really not that necessary for the story. I have nothing about the actress. I mean, I feel bad that she was getting all this hate, but it's not her fault. She was playing the role that she was given, just like Ahmad Best was playing the role that he was given. As Rob said, he was told to do these things. He was told to act goofy and flailing around, and that was his whole character, and that's what George Lucas wanted. So, you know, when people send these messages, and now they have such easy access to these actresses and actors through Twitter and well X and social media, and it's just a shame that they have to read that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, like even thinking about like the Acolyte, the amount of hate that TV show got, and all those actors and actresses, and it's like funny. You think like we would learn, but we
No.
don't.
And actually, I even said on this show, though on the regular show, numerous times that I didn't hate the actors and actresses. They were portraying it the way they were told to portray it. It was it was the directors and the writers that I think really destroyed that show, because they made them. I don't think they understood what they were trying to do there. So those are the people you should be sending the hate mail to. So send all the hate mail to director at. No, I'm kidding.
Or even the casting people, because you're the one that casted that actor or actress. I mean,
what about you, Ken? I was going to throw out there that I hate King Joffrey, the real person who plays him, because I hate from Game of Thrones. Joffrey
the
was
funny thing is the cast said he was the nicest boy, and everybody hated
just like
him.
Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter.
Yeah. He was getting such hate.
They were chosen to portray these characters, and folks took that portrayal and made it personal. And I think one of the interesting ripples, one of the what ifs, is there's the possibility that we could have gotten much more Jar Jar stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's video games or toys, or even shows. I mean, look what George Lucas did in the '80s. You know, after Return of the Jedi, he created Star Wars Droids cartoon and Ewok adventure movies.
Yeah.
So who's to say that Jar Jar Binks couldn't have been the main actor in a live action TV show? I mean, one of the jokes for the second movie in the prequel trilogy was the original title, or the playing title was Jar Jar's Big Adventure.
And even like I could see it as a cartoon, as a kid's cartoon, Jar Jar just running all over Naboo, and maybe even like flying off into space, whatever, and not being but being like silly, but then at the same time being able to get himself out of trouble and things like that. It definitely would make for a good cartoon character, but maybe they could do that now. 30 years later, 20 years later, they could do that now and finally make a Jar Jar cartoon for kids. It is funny in Rebuild the Galaxy that they did now make Darth Jar Jar a canon thing, because everybody always anticipated that Jar Jar was a Sith Lord, and that's why he was so bad at what he was doing, because he was doing it all on purpose, just to lure them into the trap that he was setting as a Darth Sith Lord. So, so that would be pretty funny if we could do that. And I do think now he could qualify as a cartoon character, and they could have some kind of, if they had Saturday morning cartoons, but a Saturday morning cartoon type thing for Jar Jar Binks, kind of like the original Droids cartoon was. By the way,
or even the Muppet Babies, or was it Young Jedi Adventures or something like that?
Yeah, Young Jedi Adventures is still going on. David still watches it. He loves it.
Young Jar Jar Adventures.
It could be Young Jar Jar Adventures.
Young Jar Jar Adventures. That would be a lot of fun.
This whole conversation made me think about this this girl that I saw on TikTok once, who has like the ultimate like Jar Jar Binks collection, where she
Okay.
has like every single
Erica?
piece of pixelated
Pixelated
yeah.
Erica.
So she like collects the Jar Jar Binks lollipops that they had.
Oh,
That's
my
She
God.
has a
awesome.
Jar Jar Binks inflatable chair. I'm just like, I'm watching the clip right now, like as we're talking.
Well,
Well, she has a
I'm just watching.
life-size Jar Jar Binks
Yeah, I see that now too.
statue.
Oh, here we go. Look
Oh,
at this.
so
Look at
like
this.
That's the one.
there it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So Home Depot last year had for Halloween Darth Vader. I think they had a Stormtrooper maybe the year before. This year they have an animated animatronic of Chewbacca, which I did see somebody posted. You can wear the costume, by the way, like because it's a skeletal frame that you put the Chewbacca fur over top of, and a guy had it on, and he goes, "It is a little big." So I know that the Chewbacca is over 6.5 feet tall.
I was about to say
maybe.
it was like
$7.50.
$600.
Yeah,
too,
and
isn't
it's
it?
very expensive. Yeah, I think it's like $350, $400. Maybe I saw somewhere.
Oh,
might
I
be
thought it
more
was
than that.
$6.99.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah,
I don't know, I
the
might
tariffs
be wrong,
brought it
too.
into $6.99. But yeah. So could next year be for Halloween Jar Jar? That would be awesome if there was a animatronic Jar Jar Binks on your front porch.
Yeah, I mean the CEO of Home Depot is listening right now.
He is.
so
He
I
listens
agree
to this
should,
show. He listens to
does.
this show.
Yeah.
So
He
All
was
right.
our advertiser, but now he's done because Rob trashed him.
I just tried. No, I like Home Depot. I like. I'm sure.
He's just not a fan of bear paint.
Right. Exactly. All right, David, it's your turn for the fourth and final question for tonight.
I feel like a lot of these questions have been pretty lighthearted, some of them. But let's go with a different direction here, away from the prequels here, and go towards a little bit of. Well, I guess it is the prequels. I lied. But my response
It's away from
to
Jar
it is
Jar. We've
more
had
away
3
from
Jar Jar
Yeah.
What the hell away from
conversations.
Jar Jar right now. But my answer to it is going to go more into like the Clone Wars animated stuff. But what if Jango Fett refused to provide his DNA for the clone army, and who would they have used instead, or who would you have liked? Who would you have liked to seen? You know what I'm trying
Yes.
to say. Who would you have liked to have seen to be the DNA?
To be the
utilized?
DNA, to be the clone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Rob, where would you start for this?
So I had to do a little research, a little Googling to find out. So Jango Fett was born in 66 BBY. So then I was like, okay, so who was also alive during that time? So then I had to go to this thing that you kids call ChatGPT and see what they said. They had some good answers. It said if Jango Fett hadn't provided his DNA for the clone army in Star Wars, the how do you say the word?
Kaminoans?
Yes, that's it.
Camino.
And the Republic would have needed someone else to serve as the Galactic Template, someone blend, blah, blah, blah. So here's their suggestions. I like the first one, Cad Bane. That's a good one. They said Captain Rex, hypothetical if older. And then it said, why could work? Discipline, strategy, loyal to the Republic. Why it's tricky. He's already a clone. But if you...
Right. I was just thinking, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait.
But it says, but if you imagine...
AI doesn't know shit.
They don't. If you imagine Rex or someone like him existed first, he'd be an ideal candidate. Okay. And then it said clone army results. Discipline more soldiers and might have questioned Order 66 in masses. Then they said General Grievous pre-cyborg, which is interesting. Ooh. That would be a good one. Thrawn was a good choice. Brilliant strategist, calm and calculating. But the thing that I don't like with Thrawn is that the Empire loves humans and doesn't really like other species. Even though Thrawn was able to work his way up, I don't see them making a whole army of Thrawns. But also, if you go to Rebuild the Galaxy, all the clones were Admiral Akbars. So it was pretty funny that they were... They took their helmets off, and he was like, "Wait, you're not." It was pretty funny.
I gotta watch.
So I need to interject for a minute. So
yes.
when you asked the question that immediately popped in my head was, what if they were creating a clone army for the Republic, and it was a Jedi who went to go ask the Kaminoans to do these clones? Why would you go get a bounty hunter to
And
be
not a Jedi?
your match. Why wouldn't you ask a Jedi?
So that's
their
a good
DNA?
point, and that's what ChatGPT did bring up here. They did say Mace Windu or another Jedi. Jedi are powerful,
Exactly.
disciplined, and trained warriors. Why it's risky, Jedi ethics would oppose cloning themselves for war, and force sensitivity doesn't always pass genetically. The clone army
To
results.
that end,
Well, no, wait, but no
technology
one says
wasn't
they
in
have to.
place.
They're going to be clone Jedi's.
Right.
But I'm talking about the Jedi mindset, the Jedi. I don't know, personality.
Right.
But
the
then again, they
discipline.
took their personalities away.
Yeah,
So
and they could also, like I said, be opposed to themselves. Like they weren't. The Jedi originally weren't supposed to be warriors. They were just supposed to be protectors or something like that. I forget the terminology that they used when he was saying now that we're fighting these battles, like we're losing our identity and not becoming what we're supposed to be, type of thing. So I can see them not wanting to use a Jedi because that's not what their intention was.
Well, you also have to
But-
remember the one small piece of the puzzle, the mind inhibitor chip.
Right.
They implanted the chip in an effort to destroy the Jedi down the road,
Yes.
and the Jedi could have potentially sensed that chip, and or that original, patient zero would have probably rejected that idea of having all of these clones with this chip in them. And that also is one of the reasons why another contemporary would be an interesting idea, but it wouldn't make sense for that very same reason would be Aura Singh.
Mhm.
Aura Singh was kind of a humanoid character, and she also had force sensitivity. So on one hand, she'd be a great warrior, a great fighter, but that force sensitivity may have prevented that chip from working as effectively as originally planned.
Yeah. The one that I did want to come up with, and then I'll pass it off onto you guys, but unfortunately, she wasn't born until 17 BBY, and she was also a Jedi, so it wouldn't have worked. But I would have loved to seen a whole clone of Mara Jade because she was, if you read the book, such a great fighter and such a great, Jedi or even, Dark Jedi, whatever she was when she was with the Empire. But she was such a great character that they would be a fierceful clone army if they used her original DNA for it. But it was the wrong time frame, so we would have to wait another 40 years before we could get to her, and then that would have changed the entire what if bubble the ripples would have been really bad. So that's it for me. I'm done talking about this. Go ahead, Tom. You can continue with what you were saying earlier.
I really don't have an answer, or it just kind of it brought more questions for me. That's all. I don't see why they would choose, and I assume it's the Kaminoans that chose a bounty hunter. I don't know if it was the Jedi. And now,
Dooku
I mean,
and
again,
Cypher
he also went
Dooku,
against the
Cypher,
Jedi
Cypher
Council
Diaz,
when he went to the Kaminoans. He didn't get the Jedi Council's permission to do this. But still, like, why not use yourself?
Yeah.
Why go out and hire a bounty hunter?
I do think there's an issue though with cloning force sensitive people, right? We see kind of this idea coming up in the Bad Batch and even in the sequels, trying to clone somebody who's force sensitive, such as like Palpatine and things like that. So I don't know if that's because at the time they didn't have the technology, or like I don't really know. I don't know if you know more about that, Ken.
Well, they had the technology for cloning, but the cloning involving such high levels of midichlorians kind of gummed up the works, which is what we saw in that second season of the Bad Batch, trying to find out how to get a subject that would be able to accept a cloning subject that would be able to accept the midichlorians as part of the cloning process. Another contemporary could have been Cad Bane.
Yeah.
But to your point earlier, Rob, that may not have been a great choice because of the Empire's infatuation with selecting humans and being somewhat racist or alienist.
Alienist, yes.
Star Wars, they don't like non-human characters.
Yeah.
But if we want to make this a 4-for-4 kind of night, we could always throw out Jar Jar Binks as the
Yes.
as the potential subject for the
I
clone
love
army.
it. Yes.
'Cause let's think about it. He's loyal, very flexible, very agile. He knows some weaponry, and if they enlisted the same kind of training, who's to say that they couldn't have this immense army of battle-hardened Gungans who are flexible, rhythmic, and
But
great
you
with
said
kids.
Jar Jar.
And
You
graceful.
didn't say Gungan. You said Jar Jar. Did you
did.
watch the Battle of Naboo?
Yeah, but that was because he wasn't trained.
Right.
So he didn't have formal training. Where the clones, they were trained from birth to be soldiers. So there's the possibility. Given, I mean, let's think about Jar Jar. He was pretty tall character, obviously strong, can swim really, really well, makes friends all over the galaxy.
He does make a lot of friends. What about who is the king? The Jar Jar's king, the one that
Lost Nas.
yeah, what about can you imagine a whole bunch of round clone troopers? That would be awesome. It would be so much fun.
Ken, you're going to need to sell it a lot better than that.
Oh,
Just
God.
when we thought we got away from Jar Jar, Ken goes and brings it back around to it.
Well, he's 4
There's
for
the
4,
possibility
like you
that this idea could be in season 2 of Rebuild the Galaxy. I mean, there could be an entire clone army of Jar Jar.
All right.
Jar Jar.
Here's what we're gonna do, Rob. Here's what we're gonna do. We'll do this after the show. We'll do and we'll announce what it said on the next show. We're gonna have AI create a story about Jar Jar, that he was the one who was used as the clone army, and have a Star Wars story based off of that.
There you go.
And then we'll see what AI comes up
Yeah.
with.
So next month we'll just read the Jar Jar clone army story to everybody. We'll just do that.
Can I be?
We'll
one of the
reenact
Jar
it too.
Jars?
I'll
Yeah.
get my Jar Jar costume.
Jar Jar 1, Jar Jar 2.
Yeah, you gotta do it all in the Jar Jar accent too. So you gotta work
be
on your
Captain Jar Jar.
Captain Jar Jar. Yes.
Commander Jar Jar.
Pilot Jar Jar.
So tune in for the sequel, the Jar Jar Part 2
Yes.
of Around the Jar Table.
The Jar Jar table.
The Jar Jar. table.
Around the Jar Jar Table. There you
That's
go.
awesome.
The Jar
What's
Jar
this
Table.
be called now?
All right,
God.
well,
we didn't get my answer yet.
Yeah, go ahead. It's your
come on.
question, your answer, David.
Well,
go
anyway.
for it.
Yeah,
The
it's
only
gonna be
right
all
answer of the
yeah.
entire night.
I'm putting money on it not having to do with Jar Jar.
It does not. It does not. Well,
Thank
I
God.
had my response kind of disappeared here. I don't know if it got deleted on accident or not, but
Well, no, I didn't like it, so I deleted it.
you deleted it.
The
It's
force
too
works in
good.
mysterious ways.
But if you are tuning in live to the YouTube and watching this, check out this image that AI created for me of clones made after Gar Saxon.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I thought that was a pretty cool design, but I had to jump through some hoops to get AI to do this. I had to reprompt it because of copyright issues. So it was like, I can't generate this image, but maybe try asking this way. So then I can generate this image. So then I did, and I generated that image. Came out really cool. But you know, I
got your
kind of
script
chose
back.
another Mandalorian type character for this because, you know, they are some of the greatest warriors, and you know, I was kind of jumping back and forth between, you know, like Pre-Vizsla, Gar Saxon, and ultimately I was like, who's gonna look really cool as a clone, you know? And Gar Saxon, I thought with his oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
Death Watch? Yeah,
Death Watch. The Death Watch armor. I thought that would really look cool, especially kind of based off of the coloring of Maul as well. And if we're talking about alive or dead, obviously Pre-Vizsla or Gar Saxon, they wouldn't have been alive for the clone army executing Order 66, I don't think. So it wouldn't actually be true, but dead or alive, I thought that would kind of be a good option in terms of their ability as warriors. Now, if we're talking about mindset and loyalty as the clones had, blind loyalty, I guess you can say, we probably run into a little bit of issues because of how strong those guys were to their ties and their Mandalorian family. So would make it a little more difficult. But I still think that would be kind of a cool idea to see those stormtroopers running around. Not stormtroopers, sorry, clone troopers.
Clone troopers, yeah. I was gonna say, Mandalorian, but that's what Jango Fett was was a Mandalorian, or did he just take Mandalorian armor? Do we know?
Yeah, I don't understand that part of the story.
Yeah, I think that's a very gray area there.
He
Sometimes
has like
never really
zero
said,
ties
right?
to the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
but he has like the ancestors to the Mandalorians. So
Yeah.
like it's I don't
yeah,
know.
because didn't in Jango Fett or Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, didn't he show his chain code in his arm or something like that?
Yeah.
And it went back to Mandalorian ties, and that's how they now said that no, he is a Mandalorian or whatever. But yeah, I could see another Mandalorian, like you said, and unfortunately, the ones that you said were not at the right age, but there had to be other Mandalorians before them that were around, so we could definitely find some other really cool Mandalorians that would fit the build there.
He gave me an idea. I say Bo-Katan. I could use a couple million Katie Sackhoffs running around.
Yeah, that would be good.
Starbuck.
Yeah. So all right, well that was
That was her
awesome.
character Battlestar Galactica, right? Is that who she played?
Yeah.
that?
What was
she
her
Starbuck
character?
Was it Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah,
that
she was
her?
Starbuck. Yep.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
did awesome.
She was awesome, Bo-Katan too. Although, did you see the most recent interview? She said she was very confused at her live action character.
I
Yeah.
did see
She
that.
did not agree with the direction. Where
Yeah.
I actually thought her character was awesome in the live action, so that was
Yeah.
surprising to me.
Yeah, I was very confused by it as well because she
Yeah.
said it really left her not knowing how to act for like 3 years. She didn't know what she was doing because she wasn't connected to the character. But I mean, it pulled off on film. I think she looked great. I think her character
Mhm.
was great in the movie,
Yeah.
in the Mandalorian. So I don't know. For her not knowing what she was supposed to be doing, she did a great job of it. So I will give her credit for that. All right, well, I think that's about it. We got all we have to do now is just say goodbye. So, Tom, let's all say goodbye to you.
All right. So if I could give you all a piece of advice, it is let the Wookiee win.
He has spoken.
He has
May the
spoken.
Schwartz be with you.
I can't wait for Spaceballs 2. Oh my God, it's gonna be awesome. All right,
They're gonna tear apart the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy.
I'm very curious to see what they do. Can't believe
Oh.
Mel Brooks is still alive.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's gonna be great.
Only the good die young.
That's
Yeah,
right.
dude, I went through like a rabbit hole of like, oh, is this guy still alive? Is this guy still alive? And it was like after like I was Google searching Mel Brooks the other day. This happened like 2 days ago.
He's
actually.
been
It's
involved
like-
in what 30 movies or more? He's done
Yeah.
a whole bunch.
but then you have like Dick Van Dyke, who's also like 99, who's still
Yeah.
showing up on The Masked Singer and
Uh-huh.
singing. And I'm just like, this guy's a beast.
All right, I'm
Well,
stopping
Betty
it
White
now.
said
He's gonna be
almost
100 and